Welcome back to Winn Tucson. Last week, the Small Business Administration suspended nearly 7,000 Minnesota borrowers over suspected pandemic loan fraud. And I love my next guest. Bruce de Torres is the Director of Communications for the American Small Business League, which exposes small business contracts that are wrongly awarded to large corporations. Bruce, we haven't talked in a while, but welcome back. Happy New Year. And thanks for joining me this morning.
Happy New Year, and great to talk to you again, Kathleen.
Kelly Loeffler, she's the administrator now of the SBA. They started to check into some of the paycheck protection programs, economic injury disaster loans, and identified nearly $400 million in potentially fraudulent loans tied to borrowers in Minnesota. I think that they should send all the leaders in Minnesota to a banking class. What do you think?
Yes, I wouldn't hurt. And those of many other states too, I would throw in there. Yeah.
I agree. I probably we could for sure do it even here with Tucson. When this happens, though, and obviously we've heard about the daycare centers and the Smalley daycare centers in Minnesota. What's the effect on the average citizen who sees this money going out? What's the impact on the average taxpayer, the average worker, if you will?
I feel it's just demoralization, and that's really worth exploring perpetually, because therein lies the solution as well. If more people harass their representatives, ran for office, went to all the public town halls, school board meetings that we possibly can, we would do that if more of us, if so many of us weren't flat out demoralized. And, I'm so tempted to become a grumpy old man. What can you do? And you can't fight City Hall. It's overcoming that, because good things will happen when more of us participate. It's not enough to just know and complain and post and Substack and watch podcasts and gripe, around the water cooler, proverbially from last century. It's to overcome that demoralization.
I love holding elected officials accountable, but what happens when there's been corruption and now you have elected officials that maybe aren't doing what's in the best interest of the people, like we're seeing, I think, and to your point, not only in Minnesota, but that's the one with the spotlight on it right now.
There's a great case to be made that things are hopeless.
Yes.
Meaning, if it's just a game over situation, you do kind of hit reset and say, all right, let me die and reincarnate and have another life if this one is, really, really hopeless. And despite it seeming so hopeless, with the seemingly endless corruption, what hasn't been exposed to be corrupt? What has not been exposed be a scam?
Yeah.
Right?
And it loses but don't you think it loses its meaning and effect? Because everything is, right? There's nothing unique about it.
Yes. Right. And there's a lot of smart people who are organizing these personal communities. Let's pull together, buy some land as far in the wilderness as we possibly can, figure out how to purify water, grow our own food, and live without electricity, and live without the internet, and live without the poisonous messaging and propaganda 24/7.
Yep.
Until they find us, because they eventually will. If they ring the planet with all the satellites Bill Gates wants to ring the planet with, there's no inch of the planet they won't take a zoom-in close-up photograph of and be able to eavesdrop and intercept all your electronic activity. Okay, but at least out in the woods like that, we extend a little time. We're a little harder to find. We make them work a little harder until they enslave, sicken, capture, and kill us.
I'm so hopeful now after that great message.
No, we've got plenty of time left in our segment.
We do. And just so you know, we have to take just a minute break around 10:15, so we got a few minutes there. But you've got is it a book, God, School, 9/11, and JFK? Is that?
That's my book, God bless you.
Yes, the lies that are killing us and the truth that sets us free. And it is the truth that sets us free. And sometimes we don't get the truth when the lie is being told. Sometimes it takes time, as we know, right? But the American Small Business League, the organization that you work with, assists, I love this number, 34.7 million small businesses. And I think the small businesses are the heart of this country. They really are. And when you see, it's not even, it's so blatant, billions of dollars going into fraudulent programs, I think it is demoralizing.
Yes, and we have to tell ourselves we're adults who can handle the truth. And our site is ASBL.com. 99.9% are small businesses. By the government's definition of up to 500 employees, 98% of all businesses in the country have less than 100 employees. So by any measure, we are a small business nation. The good news is we have the SBA, which is a federal agency dedicated to the interests of our small businesses. Yay. The bad news is it is painfully neglected. It's one of the smallest budgets. It should have one of the biggest because it represents 99% of all businesses in America, meaning 0.1% of all businesses are big businesses. They have the Department of Commerce, which I think has a budget of $10 billion right there. That shows who Washington works for. Now, the SBA was created to provide some credit and some loans, but also to steer a fair portion, 1953, the law, a fair portion of all federal contract dollars must go to small businesses. Over the decades, that has become 23% of all contracts must go to 99% of our businesses. Is that fair? Whatever, it is what it is. Now, here's the biggest problem. Through lack of oversight, really collusion by the SBA, bad policies, and outright fraud, almost all contracts go to the big businesses. We have seen in our decades of work that in reality, maybe 3 or 4% of the contracts go to actual small businesses in that 100, 500, employee definition. Almost all federal contracts go to companies that are worth millions and millions of dollars, have thousands of employees, and that's because of decades of momentum of the large corporations owning, controlling, influencing Congress, the agencies, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. No president exposes this. No administrator of the SBA exposes this. No Google search shows you this. You have to go to our site, see the documentation. We have 100-plus Freedom of Information legal victories that show this, and dozens of congressional investigations show this, and many reports from the SBA's own Office of Inspector General show this. One other thing we're doing about it is our Don't Cheat Women project, don'tcheatwomen.com. Everyone should go there and see what we're asking for.
Yes.
Women-owned small businesses are supposed to get 5% of the contracts. In reality, they get less than 1%. What's the problem with that? They own 40% of all businesses in America are owned by women, and they sell what the government buys. It's not a handout. It's not an entitlement program. It's not charity. They sell what the government buys. What woman is going to say, yeah, no, it's okay that men get over 95% of all federal contract dollars? It's rather scandalous in this day and age.
Is it still that bad, Bruce? Is it still that bad? Is it that bad still?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's depressing.
Yes.
That's depressing.
But like everything that's depressing, it's an opportunity because it's a problem to address and hopefully solve. We've collected a database of almost 2,000 candidates for the midterms this year, Kathleen, House and Senate. We're writing them and teaching them all this, and many of them are writing back and say, holy smokes, thank you, this is unbelievable. I'm definitely going to run on this. I'm going to talk about it. We're starting to interview a bunch of them on our podcast. We want Congress to pass a law that says raise from 5 to 15%. That would push from 23 to 33% the contracts that should go to small businesses. But that's not going to happen if they just tell us, like they do every year, oh, we met the goal. We gave that percentage to small businesses. How about a loan? Like, no, you'd have to overhaul the SBA and greatly expand it. It should have one of the biggest budgets in Washington, serving as it does 98, 99% of all businesses in America. On that don'tcheatwomen.com, what you can do page, There's a letter that explains all this and all the links where you can find your congressman, find your senators, find the White House, and also Kelly Loeffler at the SBA, and tell them, hey, fix this.
Well, you'd think with a woman being the head of that and you're talking to a woman right here with 5 daughters and 12 granddaughters. I have sons and grandsons, but the girls are the majority. And Bruce, I guess for me, the reason I'm shocked actually a little bit is that so many things are being done to still hurt women in this country.
And it's at the hands largely of the biggest money interests, banks and corporations that own and control the media and the messaging. You turn on the news, and your whole life a person could think we're a big business nation because those big businesses fund the TV shows that we're watching. The major news corporations are giant corporations. They talk about how the market's doing, how the stock market's doing, et cetera, and all you hear about the big names of the big companies. Undiscussed is the reality of our identity. So it's a brainwashing campaign. It's a psyop to not know, talk about, and promote this elephant in the room, this opportunity in the room, which is the 1953 Small Business Act that created this provision of a fair portion of federal contracts should go to small businesses. Now it's 23%. And it's sad to see every president since at least Ronald Reagan denigrate, complain about, threaten to close, try to shrink. The SBA, Republicans included. So it's great that they're finding fraud in Minnesota, right, about the SBA loans. But the other side of that sword or coin is, well, the SBA is so inefficient. Any day we wouldn't be surprised to hear we're going to push all of its functions into commerce or the Treasury.
But commerce has a whole different goal and objective than Small Business Administration.
Well, I was speculating, but it would be sad if its functions and features were lost in the fog of bureaucracy, as I like to say.
No, and I don't think commerce cares about small business, I guess was my other point in that and what you're saying. I'm agreeing, just I didn't say it clearly. But yeah.
No, I understand, and I agree with that completely. Yeah, but it would be part of how to sweep the contracting requirement under the big rug of the Department of Commerce.
Right.
Hide it in there. Yeah, that's speculation, but it's definite that this past year, President Trump has moved to slash the budget in half, which is going to shrink the staff, close offices for various reasons, and last year, he announced we're shrinking the Department of Education, and we're planning to give the $1.7 trillion student loan portfolio to the SBA to manage. Wait a minute, it can't manage $500 million in loans, and you're cutting its budget and staff, and you want to burden it with an almost $2 trillion student loan portfolio? That's why we think it's being set up to fail, because the more you expose the corruption at the SBA, instead of saying, oh, let's expand it, reform it, overhaul it, clean house, and give it a huge ability to serve our small businesses, it's always under attack. That's my point, obviously.
But the SBA has a mission and a goal, and it seems like these other things are add-ons and really shouldn't be there. And it sounds to me like Kelly Loeffler is the head of the organization, but maybe not looking out for its best interest. I don't want to be harsh, but I
accuse her of not looking out. They don't put an administrator who's going to really look out for small businesses, and not coincidentally, I believe she was or still is the spouse of the president of NASDAQ or the stock exchange. So she's from that elite class who unfortunately is happy to pose as if she's representing the interests of small businesses.
Well, it sounds like we need to get a bunch of women elected to come and storm the Congress and the Senate. I'm all for that.
Yeah, I want to go off on that for a couple of minutes. May I?
You have about a minute, so and a little bit less, but go ahead.
This is all to entice people to go to don'tcheatwomen.com.
Okay.
Because men earn and save more. They dominate in politics. They donate more to candidates. They have more influence with the winners. They run for and win more office. 75% of all seats in the House, Senate, state legislatures, presidents, cabinets are men. Almost that many governors, 90% of committee chair and party leadership positions, men. Women won't be political equals until they've got economic equality, and that's another benefit to steering more of the federal contracts to women-owned businesses. Don'tCheatWomen.com.
I love it. And Bruce, we've got to go, and I appreciate you, and this went way too fast. And let's continue this conversation because we are going to come back to money. Everything always comes back to money, and we need to encourage women to be successful. Bruce Day Torres, and please go check out. Say your website again, Bruce.
Don'tCheatWomen.com.
I love it. All right. You are listening to 1030 The Voice, your trusted local news and talk. I'm Kathleen Winn. This is Winn Tucson. We come back. We're still going to be in Minnesota on a whole different topic. Don't go anywhere.